This is your host, Jay Real from Real Family Talk. We are here live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. This is Hump Day. Listen to the show and enjoy your Wednesday night.
We are the heart and soul of the community. We are WOKB 1680.
Hello. Welcome to Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday evening out there. Here we are back in the city, beautiful again. Wednesday night, man. Exciting time as always. This is Real Family Talk, like I said. Let's go ahead and talk to the people in the building here. Mr. King's in the building. How you doing tonight, sir?
My brother. I'm in the building. I'm very excited to be here. Ready to talk to our special guest, one of my favorite guests that we always talk to. How you doing today, Brother Real?
I'm doing all right, sir. Filling in for us for a little bit. Chris Shaw's in the building as well. How you doing, Chris?
Yes, sir. We praying right now, so it's all good.
We're always praying, always meditating.
And as Mr. King alluded to, Jason Henry will be joining us in a few minutes here.
The Jason Henry?
The Jason Henry.
The man himself.
It's on and popping.
You already know it's going to be a lot of information. It's going to be a lot of conversation, and it won't be no player hating.
Amen, glory. I don't know how to respond after that.
Amen and glory was good enough for me.
Mr. King is in the building, y'all. I'm telling you. Before we, like I said, Jason will be calling in, but just to get the show started, to piggyback, Mr. King and I, as we were coming in, we were talking a little bit about basketball, and I was informing him.
Stop right there. Let's stop right there.
You don't even want to talk about it. You don't want to talk about it. You know what I'm going to say, right?
Yeah, I forgot where he was from.
Derrick Rose is out again.
That's why he was praying. That is why he was praying.
He's praying the Bulls is going to be able to pull together a season even anyway.
They can still pull a season. They just no offense.
They're on the East, so they will make the playoffs. That's a guarantee. Now, will they do the same thing they do every year? Derrick Rose has been hurt for the last 7 years. I think so.
It ain't chill out now. It ain't been no 7 years.
Derrick did win a ring. When he won that ring? Oh, so the last 7 years they're gonna do the same thing that they have been doing. Not winning rings.
Is that right, Mr. Shaw? Are they not going to win a ring this year? Or is it still possible?
With the crickets. Give us the cricket sound. Because if you're going to ask, are the Chicago Bulls going to win a ring, all I need to hear is... That's all I need to hear. Really? Everybody knows the Chicago. Really? The West will win the ring this year.
Yeah, because as long as San Antonio around, they all... I'm sorry.
I mean, longest East are the East. The East have nothing for anybody who steps up to the West.
You got Cleveland.
Whether it be Houston.
Yeah, but Cleveland's still not playing together.
Whether it be Dallas.
Cleveland just not getting their act together, and I think they can pull out. They can pull out something.
Who they gonna beat on the West? They gonna beat Dallas? No.
Yeah.
They gonna beat Dallas?
Yeah. Come on. I mean, Dallas ain't got they don't even have solid big men yet.
The thing about it, they got Rondo. They got your boy Vince. They got Dirk. They got did they get Stoudemire?
Yeah, they got Stoudemire.
So they got Stoudemire. That's
but Amari not even playing because he's still hurt. He's been hurt for the last 8 years.
You got Rondo who won a ring. You got Dirk who won a ring and one of the best big men in the league. And then you got the best dunker of all time. You got 3 historians that's playing the game against one who really ain't did nothing.
You got Shawn Marion who won a ring.
There you go. I didn't even go there. I stopped it though.
No. Shawn Marion is playing with Cleveland now.
Oh, he's playing with Cleveland now.
Yes.
He's a non-factor. He's washed up then.
You got LeBron James who got several rings.
He's never been anything but a queen. He was the one that when he's always been a queen. He showed you his queen tactics when he didn't want to shake the Orlando Magic hand for beating him. You were a queen at that time. You will always be a queen when you don't want to shake the tragic Magic hand for beating you.
Okay, I give it to you.
Shout out to the boy Botus. If you got something to say about Derrick Rose, you call in and you defend Derrick Rose.
We're gonna leave D alone now.
Oh, well, let's get back on him. So yeah, Derrick Rose just don't know how to stay healthy. That's the problem, man.
What is this? This is gonna be the third knee surgery or fourth knee surgery?
I don't know.
Do you know, Mr.
I think
Shaw?
it's the fourth.
It's the third.
This the fourth that we know of.
It'll be the third.
It's the third that we know of.
It'll be the third.
The third that goes on record to the public.
And how many more years? Do you know how long he signed over there in Chicago?
Well, his first contract was already for 6 years. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say 5 or 6, somewhere right around in there.
So he's still on that first contract.
He's still on his
Pretty
first
much.
contract. So he's not even getting no big bucks. That's the thing about it. He's not getting no big money. He's not going to get a bonus. Nobody wants to pick him up. He's going to be like Tracy McGrady was when Tracy hurt his back in Orlando. Where's Tracy still playing?
Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady was a factor in Toronto before he left to go to Orlando.
Okay.
All right. When he went to Orlando, he just didn't have any help, and he pulled everything in his body out because he didn't have no help.
I'm saying he's going to be what Derrick will be what Tracy was after Tracy left Orlando.
Okay. Because I don't know what he did in Houston.
Well, he's still in the NBA to this day, you know.
Yeah, he playing for San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
He got a ring.
He you know.
I don't know. He didn't do much.
He got 1 ring and 92 splinters in his behind. That's what he got. But if that's what you want to, put your career on, he is going to the Hall. I give him that, just because he got the ring.
Okay.
But that's the same thing Derrick Rose would do. He would sit on the bench until Steph Curry.
No, sir. Stop. Anyways, news in Miami basketball. Chris Bosh is out.
Yeah, Chris Bosh is out too,
for the rest of the season. Kevin Durant is out.
Really?
We don't know how long he's going to be out, though.
He won't be out
had
as
to
long
go back
as
on that
Derrick Rose.
foot surgery again.
Oh, well,
But Chris Bosh is in a little bit more worse predicament than everybody.
He's got the blood clots in his lungs.
In the lungs. A blood clot
serious.
in the
That's
lungs.
real serious. Hopefully he can get past that. We'd hate to see the brother pass out and die of something because of some blood clots, man.
Right. So that's why,
especially at his young age. Is that brother even 30 yet?
You know his career is done.
Oh,
in the NBA.
Chris Bosh about 31 now?
Yeah, he's about 31.
Oh, is he 31? Okay.
Yeah, but he's
about our age.
Still pretty young, though.
Yeah, he about our age.
Yeah, the gentleman right there. He's about your age, sir. He's about 31. Yeah, you're right about that. What the pastor say? You say you're 36.
66.
Oh, he's 66. You look 36, sir. You look 36.
Yeah, man. So yeah, a lot of news going on in basketball, man. How's the Orlando Magic doing since we got a new coach? Are we winning yet?
Yeah, they've won 3 straight games thus far. 3
straight games, okay. And I know we're playing tonight. We're playing Miami tonight. Speaking of Miami,
so that might be the first. That might be the 4th loss.
Who playing Miami?
We are. We playing Miami.
The Orlando Magic are playing Miami.
The Solar Bears playing Miami. Are the Solar Bears playing tonight? Because that's the only sports team that I know of that's in Orlando. The Thunder, the Predator. No? Oh,
no,
okay.
No, sir. The Magic. Did you see, too, I saw an article this week. They said it's looking unlikely like we'll be able to get the All-Star game back here in 2017, unfortunately.
Well, our four still be under construction, so that's probably why.
And that's the main reason why. That'd probably be the last. Well, no, 2017. Oh yeah.
Now,
2020.
Construction is 2020. I thought
2020 be done by 2020, supposedly.
Yeah, so that's probably why, because it's gonna be tied up with all the
and they don't want
construction
all that.
and everything.
And then it'd be great after. Well, it'd be a toll road after that, won't it?
Yes.
Don't think that we have an All-Star game here after that either. Then, huh?
Nah, I'm sure once we get I-4 together. And then by 2020, I'm sure the entertainment center complex will be in place. So they'd be hard pressed to deny the city after we get it together.
It was a young lady who was on a news broadcast, and she had a famous saying about crazy things that didn't nobody care about. And the tolls that Orlando are putting on I-4 are one of those crazy things that ain't nobody got time for. That's why they ain't bringing the All-Star game here. Ain't nobody got time for that. You mean paying a toll on an interstate road? You paying a toll? No, we not bringing the All-Star game down there because ain't nobody got time for that.
What's the purpose of the tolls going on the path of I-4 anyway? I'm lost.
It's to make traffic easier. So those that want to sort of travel fast, they can go in the toll roads, and so that'll free up more space for other passengers.
You know,
who don't want to pay.
Do they not know their target demographics in the Central Florida area?
My thing is, I really can't wait to
No, the
Jason
tolls
Henry
everywhere,
call.
brother. Tolls are everywhere in the Central Florida area.
In
Yeah,
the
they're
Central
everywhere,
Florida.
but the whole purpose that we get on I-4 is to avoid those tolls.
Exactly. That's what I don't understand.
I think you're going to have quite a bit of people who gladly take that toll roll if it means traffic is moving faster. So we'll be all right. I mean, I won't be taking any toll rolls.
Not at all.
I
I can't wait till Jason
but
Henry calls.
I'm sure
because-
they will be. I'm sure they'll be live in effect.
Because the
on
toll
those
roads are supposed to go for the completion of make the roads in Orlando nicer, but the toll roads money isn't staying in Orlando. From what I've heard, they're doing kind of some things in down south in Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. But when Jason calls, I definitely know our brain will put us on the game about that. But that's why I'm just not for the toll roads in Orlando. We have nice roads, but we don't see where the money goes for the tolls, and that's my only problem with the toll roads. And a lot of us don't come together to find out where that money is supposed to go. Georgia, Atlanta, they have one toll road. And, man, they get on they state about that 1 50-cent toll road. Here in Orlando, I think it's just we're just so accustomed to paying the toll that we don't question it. It's another one. And we're going to pay it or we either won't. I think we need to really start focusing more attention on where that money is going. We paying $1.75, $1.25, and we don't know where that money is going. And we ride that thing every day for the last 5 years at the least.
Well, you know why? Because toll roads are making it easier to get around the city.
No, it's not. You don't have to pay that toll.
You don't
like
have
I say,
to, but it
in
does make it easier
Georgia,
to get around the city.
In Georgia, they have the 75 and the 20. Neither one of them are tolls, and everybody gets around Georgia just fine. It's only one road, and that's the 500. And everybody pissed off that they have to pay 50 cents. 2 little quarters. They upset, furious, hot. Like, where's the money going? They upset about that. Here in Orlando, we don't even question it. Where's the money going? Can anybody tell me? I know Jason can because that's just Jason's thing. But other than that, we just paying $1.75, and then all right then, Pastor. And then we don't even question where the money goes.
Well, we'll see.
Nah, and we.
I'm sure they're getting paid very nicely.
They put in our minds is to make it get faster, but Colonial gets me from the West Oaks Mall to UCF 20 minutes. On 408, 15 minutes.
You must be super.
Wait, I got a heavy foot.
115?
The Lord is blessing me. The Lord is going to deliver me from that heavy foot. That scooter's goes. People don't think that scooter can go.
And you must be flying because you can't be stopping at all them stoplights in between West Oaks and UCF, brother.
There's back ways to everywhere. If you know the roads.
I don't even want to ask. I don't even want to know. I just don't even need to know. That's y'all do great things.
Just call me Aladdin in the scooter, my magic carpet, okay? Because me and that scooter, we go Jafar, okay?
Listen,
it's got to be magic. What you going to say,
sir? You're absolutely right. I have no idea. I have the slightest idea as to where the money for the tolls go. I mean, I know besides those that are working the tolls and maybe to construction on the highway probably, but outside of that, I wouldn't even know because I don't ride the toll.
And that's the thing. The toll company is owned by a private entity that is not the state, is not the government. It's a private entity that owns the expressway. I forgot the exact sign name. I can see it, but
Authority, I believe.
Expressway Authority. There we go. And so the SunPass is all of that is ran by a private entity. So that money isn't going to the state; it's going to that company. And that's what we're thinking. We're thinking, yeah, the state's getting in, the state's doing this with that money. No, we're paying a company. We're paying a Federal Reserve, well, not a Federal Reserve, but we're paying a company that's actually just putting up tolls, and we're just paying them. Not even asking questions. That's just what we do, though. We're Americans. We just do it. I don't know. That's what they said do, so we did it. Okay.
All right, man. Yeah, man. Tolls are something else. But like I said, in the perfect world, I'm sure in somebody's mind they believe putting that toll roll in the middle of I-4 would make I-4 traffic better.
And they should be shot.
We'll see.
They should drink
We'll see.
bleach.
We'll see. Here's what's going to happen. If you have a SunPass already and you're on I-4 and you have a gridlock on I-4, the free I-4, and there's no gridlock on the toll road I-4, guess what you're going to do? You're going to get on toll road I-4. And you're going to do what you need to do so that you can get to where you need to go, and you don't have to sit in traffic and wait for them to move out the accident or whatever the case may be. And so it will serve a purpose, and people will use it to avoid some of that traffic.
And I kind of agree to a point, because regardless, for those that I don't even think we don't even have a SunPass. So because like I said, we rarely ever use the toll. And if I get on the toll, well, I try to find a quick way to get off quick.
Right.
That's just me, because I don't need the toll. I just take my time, because I leave on time anyway to get to where I need to get to.
Well, I think it's Disney World, because it sounds like a Disney World theme, a theatric trickery. Because when you go to Disney World, you have that exact same option. Do I want a fast pass, or do I want to just wait in the regular line? And now that's the same option you're going to have with the 408. It's kind of like, do I want to get on the 408, or do I just want to go down Colonial? And it's a money-making theme. It's sad. You come to Orlando, you going to spend some money. We're tourists and we live here. Got to be more careful.
All right, man. We'll keep it moving.
Yeah, before I go off on Disney.
Yeah, don't go off on Disney, man.
We love you, Disney.
Disney's awesome.
Disney's amazing.
They have Mickey Mouse.
Oh, they go Disney calling. Gee whiz.
They have Mickey Mouse, and they have Donald Duck and Goofy, man. Why can't you not?
We love Steamboat
Disney.
Willie. We love Steamboat
You like
Willie.
Steamboat Willie?
Steamboat Willie's the man.
All right, man. All right, Jason Henry's on the phone. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good, man. I actually just had a snowball fight with my kids, man. How's everybody else doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right, man. Snowball. Y'all got snow in Alabama now,
There
huh?
it is. Wow.
Yeah, man. We
jealous.
probably got like an inch right now, and it's still snowing.
I'm so jealous about
okay.
it. Here it is, 70 degrees, and you getting snowball fights. I'm so jealous about that, Mr. Henry. I'm so, no, honestly. I was just talking to Jim about how it was supposed to rain today, but it was a beautiful day for that scooter, and you having snowball fights. I'm so jealous. I can't remember the last snowball fight I had.
I enjoyed it for about 10 years, so I'm not complaining. Now, talk to me in about 2 months. If we still getting this, then we may have to do some trading.
In March? You still going to be getting snow in March?
Man, I remember we got a blizzard in March. It's been a while. It's like 93, but we got like 2 feet of snow in March.
Ooh, I'm sorry. I'll be on the scooter, though. I think of you.
How you doing tonight, man? You doing all right?
I'm good, man. I can't complain at all, man.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And Alabama's treating you well as well, man.
Alabama is treating me about as well as it's going to do.
Awesome.
About as good as it's going to get, man. Session in Florida starts on the 3rd, and session in Alabama starts on the 3rd. So I got a lot to write about. That's a good thing.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Speaking of your writings, man, we're going to talk to you about some of your writings tonight as well. The one that I wanted to start with first, you did a piece the other day about equal pay for women. What's going on with that, man? Tell me about that.
You know, it's funny because I had no idea that Patricia Arquette, when she won her Oscar, that she would mention anything about equal pay. And then I guess it was, on the tips of everybody's tongue after she said it, because we saw more articles about it, we saw more studies being brought to the forefront about it. But what I try to do is I try to look for things that may interest those who read my blog. I mean, you go to certain things, or you read, certain articles and studies based off of your interest. And because mine is a political / social commentary blog, I usually try to keep it in that arena. So I usually look for things that, will pique my interest, and those who actually read what I have to say will keep them coming back. So I was reading a study, and I just so happened to come across something about equal pay, and I was like, this is an interesting topic that I think I can broach. Maybe do it really quickly in about 400 or 500 words, and it should get a pretty good conversation started. And then it just kind of blew up when Ms. Arquette made her comments. But I think it's kind of twofold, because what we saw is that white women, particularly white women, they make, in the state of Florida, make 84 cents for every dollar that a white man makes. It's a little lower when we start talking about women of color. So for African-American women, I believe it's 61 cents. And then for Latino women, it's all the way down to 57 cents. And this is for their contemporaries as well. We're talking about female engineers, female doctors. We're talking about the same arena. And there was a bill that a representative, and forgive me, I can't remember her last name. I believe it's Representative Cruz. She is attempting to fix that for state contracts. So say, for example, if Jimmy holds a state contract, if this bill passes, then there could be no pay gender gap. You would have to pay, one of your female workers the same that you will pay one of your male workers. You can't do it based off of gender. It would be breaking the law. I have no idea if that's going to pass. We're talking about a Republican majority enjoyed, or a majority enjoyed by Republicans in the state of Florida. They have a supermajority. So something as progressive as that probably won't get past Republicans. And we're just talking about state contracts. We're not talking about holding private entities, not trying to attempt to tell them what to do with their money, what to do with their employees. But if you sign a state contract, then this law or this bill will stipulate that you have to be fair in how you pay men and women. And with that kind of got a conversation started about, what is it? How do we calculate it? What does that mean? Should women complain about it? Should they just try to fix it? And what is a glass ceiling? And then, when Patricia Arquette made her comments backstage about, and I'm paraphrasing, she basically stated that, white women have fought for the rights of everybody, gay men, gay women, the LGBTQ community, minority rights, civil rights, and it's time for everybody to band together to ensure that white women have equal pay when, they have a job. And that kind of split because if you go back and read even what happened during the Civil Rights era and when the Voting Rights Act was signed and when the Civil Rights Act was put into law, a lot of feminist white women were angry because, if we want to be real, man, being white is absolutely a privilege, and that comes before anything. That comes before your gender, your race, your sexual orientation. So if we're seeing that other minority groups, black women, Latino women, if they are receiving lawful rights, something that's written either into the Constitution or into the law of the United States, and this is coming before the right of your privilege, then, we start to get into a little gray area. And I think that's where we're standing now, where you've seen a split between white feminism and black feminism.
Gotcha. To me, though, I don't understand why this keeps being this hot button story. I just don't get it. As far as I'm concerned, I look at it this way. It's real simple for me. And I'm not saying that women on a whole don't always get paid what they're worth, and some people do pay them less than they might have paid a man. I'm not trying to say that doesn't exist, but what I find troubling in my mind is, why is this a national conversation? I think when you look at the concept as a whole, I believe, I look at it, is it better? So is it better than it was 10 years ago? Is it better than it was 20 years ago? Is it better than it was 30 years ago? And I think the answer to that question is yes, it's better. So we're moving towards getting better, but ultimately it falls back, like I see when we talk about blacks and how blacks don't get paid what they are necessarily worth all the time. It goes back to a power structure. As more blacks get into power situations where they can make decisions and help other blacks get jobs, that equal pay, quote unquote, will get better. As more women get in positions of power and are now the power structures to provide women jobs, we'll see that pay get better. But until those people get in those types of positions, that's when you see the huge quote unquote change that people are looking for. But if they're not in the power structure, the change is going to become slowly, which it is coming. They do get paid better and quote unquote more equal than they did 10 years ago, just like we did. And so that will continue to change, but you can't legislate your way to private companies paying quote unquote women and men the same. That's just not going to happen. Even on state contracts. You can put it in place, but who's going to follow it to make sure it's enforced? And it's this national conversation, I believe, just set up to divide us even more, to pin us on one side or the other.
I think that's an interesting theory or thought that you broached, because when we're talking about progress, I think Chris Rock made a really good point about the notion of progress in America when we say that, like, for instance, with civil rights and ensuring that African Americans or black people have the same rights as their white contemporaries. And when we label that as progress, he's saying, well, that's progress on the side of those who were oppressing us in the first place. That's not progress on our part, because the way that the laws in the well, I shouldn't say the laws, but the way that the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and how these things were written, we were supposed to have those things in the first place. So when you're fighting for equal rights and you're fighting for equal pay and whatever you may feel is an oppression towards yourself, and you're fighting to be on equal footing with someone like, I don't know, like a CEO, whatever it may be, the progress doesn't lie with those who are fighting for it. You're just fighting for what you were supposed to have in the first place.
Okay. But I'm with you, but I think you still have to look at the situation, because, again, it's a power thing. The reason why white men are making more is because white men decide what other white men are going to make, and I want to make sure that white man is making what I think he's worth or what I want to pay him. I think it's no different. I think if you have a company that's got a structure of black men are going to tend to make more than the next man because there's a black man in charge and trying to ensure that those other black men. So to me, it's all about power. It's not about, it is a part of a struggle because we're struggling to get that power. But the struggle is not. The pay is a smaller piece of the bigger problem, if you will. It's like you got to solve the bigger problem, and then that will slowly adjust the pay. But if you don't solve the bigger problem, then the pay is just a discussion because it's not going to change.
Well, yeah, no. You're absolutely right. When we're talking about the structures of organizations, the structure of government, you're right. If we do not change the power structure, that's why we always hear the talk of cracking and breaking the glass ceiling. Hillary Clinton made that comment at a speech the other day that it's time for us to break all glass ceilings and so on and so forth. But I believe when you're talking about individuals who are fighting for things like the closing the pay gender gap, closing the wealth equality gap, making sure that everyone has the same access to equal opportunities, it goes to maybe the thought or the spirit, so to speak, of the individuals who are in power. Why would you want to keep these people from why wouldn't you want to ensure that everyone has the same opportunities instead of waiting for some of your own people, so to speak, to get in power to ensure that everyone has those same opportunities? So if we do have a bunch of white men that are still in power, why are we still waiting to ensure that black men and black women and Latino men and Latino women are getting in power? Why should we push those people who are in power to ensure that we all have the same opportunities?
I get that. I see. That's sort of what the whole movement, civil rights movement, was about in the first place. But I think we've been fighting that battle for 100 years, 50, 60 years now, and we see where that's leading us. So we can continue to fight that battle, or perhaps fight that battle, but at the same time, ramp up some efforts where we can develop power structures, ramp up some efforts where we're building entrepreneurs so that they can have businesses that we can go and be a part of, and then perhaps get some equal pay, if you will. But because we've been fighting that same fight. And like I said, we're fighting the fight, and I guess we'll keep fighting the fight, right? Because I'm sure when the next time the election comes around, this is going to be a huge issue.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a huge issue, as it was the last election. But at the end of the day, it's really a non-issue because it won't change until the structure changes. At the end of the day, it's about the structure. It's not, the pay's not going to change till the structure changes, because it's a capitalistic society, and capitalists are going to pay people what they feel like they want to pay people. So if you want to change that, then you got to get some power on the capitalistic side and then change that. You got to start a business, and you'll pay people what they're worth, if you will. What do you think about that, Kershaw?
Well, everybody wants to be on an equal playing field, but everybody's not able to have equal share of work. I witness that on the daily because what I can lift, I know she can't lift. But, she want to do the same job that I do, and it is what it is. Now, I'm all for everybody having equal rights, equal opportunity to do forth and go forth, but who am I to judge? And that's just the way I look at it. If that's what you want to do, hey, make sure you just. I'm a team player. I help you out because I don't want to see you struggle and hurt yourself. But at the same time, I'm not going to kill myself for you. So I don't know. I kind of weigh on both ends of the spectrum.
Okay, Mr. King.
Go ahead, Jason. Say what you're gonna say.
No, what I was going to just interject really quickly is that I think sometimes when we look at these conversations, and again, my article was specific to a bill and specific to a conversation, so it wasn't as intricate and nuanced, so to speak, as it could have been. And what I mean by that is that I just wanted to broach the topic and broach the subject and tell Floridians, hey, this is a bill that's that may come across the desk of Governor Rick Scott that he may have an opportunity to veto. This is something that you may be interested in because, as J. Real stated, that this is something we're going to hear about probably for the next few election cycles. But when we talk about issues like this, I think it's a little dangerous for us to just broach them and then move forward to something different. And the reason why I say that is because when we're talking about equal pay, closing the pay gender gap, ensuring that for Black Americans that they have equal access to economic opportunities, we also have to talk about the things that happen on the back end. I'm talking about something that may have happened 40, 50 years ago, a law that was written into place that either hasn't been repealed or that hasn't been forced, so to speak. I guess force is the right word to use to make sure that these individuals have those opportunities. We could talk about how there may be a cut to some HBCUs. South Carolina State was in danger of closing for an entire year. There was a point, I believe, that they were talking about closing Clark Atlanta at one point. So HBCUs graduate, I believe it's something like, 70 or 80% of all doctoral candidates in the nation for Black people. So when we're talking about issues like this, we also have to address what put us here in the first place. And you're absolutely right. There is a so-called crooked power structure that's been in place for centuries that we've been trying to crack for a really long time, and it hasn't happened yet. But in addition to that, we could talk about other things. I mean, we could talk about, again, I mentioned this, the split in feminism. We could talk about white feminism versus Black feminism. We could talk about how Latinos aren't getting the same opportunities and what's holding them back and some of the issues that they're facing. My man just brought up that, yeah, you know what, I'm okay with you having equal pay, but as long as you can pull your weight, I'm okay with that. Like, if you can lift 75 pounds and do it fine, I'm good with you doing that. But then we have to look at how productivity isn't matching wage growth. Individuals in this nation now are producing more, but wage growth isn't keeping up with them. Recent college graduates haven't had a growth in wages in over 15 years. So then we have to address those subjects when we're talking about something as intricate as the pay gender gap, instead of it just being a talking point. And I think when politicians get into it, that's when we get a little dangerous because we're not addressing the full force of what it could be or what it stands for.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right because I'm a product of a HBCU, and I've seen it, and I've even heard talks about several schools being closed down because of funding. So equal opportunity, and like I said, this is one of those topics where I lean on either party because I'm a gentleman at the same time, but we productivity has to be done.
Right.
And I don't want to pick up your slack and pick up my slack when I fall off.
Right.
So, Jay, you got me with Jay. You stuck me.
That's why I say it's one of them topics that to me, it's one of them topics that we can't just we can't make it this blanket political statement that we're all supposed to pick a side one way or another, because at the end of the day, I don't think no matter what side you're on, everybody believes everybody should get an equal pay. But how you achieve that, I think is a lot more nuanced, as you would say, Jason, than to have a discussion about is it happening, and like your article talks about. It starts to compare. White women make this amount of sense compared to a white male, or Black women make this amount of sense compared to a Black male. Because to me, I think a lot of those studies look at, jobs as a broad spectrum. And there's so many jobs that you could have. It's really hard to look at that as a broad spectrum and come up with a number to say, here's the quantifiable evidence that it doesn't exist. But, I just don't think it's something that we have to have this national debate about, as we will in the next year. We'll have a national debate about equal pay, and, you'll have to stand on a side and
But
you
I
have
mean,
to support a bill and blah blah blah.
if we don't if we don't start now, then when will it start?
I think it started. Like I said, I think in America, progress is always slow. Progress is never quick in America, and that's just who we are. That's what historically we make progress, but we make progress slowly. So if that's what we do, that's our history, right?
Okay.
Even when you can pull up any issue. You look at the civil rights issue. We've made progress, but are we there? Do we have or feel like we have every civil right that we're supposed to have? Nope. But is it better than it was 50 years ago? Sure.
Yeah.
So that's what we do in America. We make progress slow. So is progress being made? Yes, progress is being made. So do we want this full scale change? Well, the only way we're going to get a full scale change is the power structure has to change.
And you know what? When you mention power structure, I think we can also look at how this falls in terms of race. And what I mean by that is we can make a comparison now where we thought, African Americans or black people thought that things would change overnight, but that they had the chance to change overnight for the condition of the African American man and woman in this nation with the election of President Obama. We haven't seen that, and it was unrealistic to think that in the first place. I'm not laying that blame at his feet. But he was the one who broached the topic about cutting funding for HBCUs a couple of weeks ago in a meeting with the CBC. And these are some of the issues that we should pay attention to. You can support him all you want to. And you can ensure that you hold his feet to the fire, something that he said when he was first elected. When we're talking about changing the power structure, you can get someone who may have your same gender and skin color, but that does not mean they're going to have your best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And that's 100.
That's 100.
That's 100.
That is definitely 100. But anybody still hoping and changing, y'all gotta be crazy anyway. If you ain't dropped that one yet, I don't know what you meant. Put the bottles down.
We still got faith in you, Barack. Disney World and Barack. We got faith in both of y'all.
As long as you got the mouse and the black man in the White House, you should be all right.
That's right. That's all we need.
All right, man. I'll move on to another topic you wrote about. I saw the one about the body cameras as well. There's a bill preparing to go through the House on that one, too.
Yeah, and actually, the original intent of the law or of the bill, it was to require that all police officers in the state of Florida to wear body cameras. And when it came out of committee, it was altered to state that, okay, we're not going to have that requirement, but if your officers do wear body cameras, or if you allow your officers to wear body cameras, then the state legislature is going to dictate what those governing procedures are. And also, they have access to the data and to the video if an incident were to happen. So if we had something like Mike Brown and Eric Garner to happen here, and there was a police officer involved, and he or she was wearing a body camera, then we would have access, I shouldn't say we, but the state legislature would have access to view that information, view the data, and go over it. So it's been watered down a lot, and it's not the representative who first presented the bill is Representative Chevron Jones, who's out of South Florida. It's not his fault that it was watered down. It just came out of committee that way, where they changed the language of it. So it's not a request. It's not going to be a requirement if it passes, but if it does, it will be, okay, Jimmy, yeah, Orange County says that you have to wear a body camera, then we'll have to be subjected to these rules and to these procedures. So it's, I don't know, it's really just a rules bill now, not anything that's going to be a requirement for all officers.
Okay. I'm not, body cameras I think are going to be good, but I think as Eric Garner's case proves, they're certainly not going to be the end-all, be-all to sort of change our situation. But it'd be good to be able to see what it is.
Police officer. It really is. I mean, we give them far-reaching authority, and it's just really, really hard to indict a police officer because the law deems that their job is one of the most dangerous in the nation. And again, we give them the benefit of the doubt. We're saying that if they're in a situation where it could be deadly, then we're automatically going to believe that police officer did everything in his power to ensure that the danger was removed. And to save his life, he had to use deadly force. And that's usually what happens, is that even if we have video stating that, no, that's not what happened, jurors are still going to say, well, maybe there was something that happened prior to that we didn't know about.
Right.
But we always give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yep. Which is why, again, they will help and they will certainly provide some clarity, but clearly they won't be the end-all, be-all. So, but I think it's a good thing, even the more transparency that exists, the better it is for everybody.
I mean, it's going to be it's a great idea to have them because it protects, one, the police officer, and then two, it protects the citizens or those who might not be good citizens to do what's right, and they have everything on camera. They'll be covered from the car point of view, and they'll be covered from the body point of view. So, I mean, it can work out in his favor, but, that's just the risk with everything that we take, though, because even as we do the traffic lights, you just heard about the story here with the traffic lights and how everybody getting tickets because they making a turn on red, making a right turn.
Well, yeah, I think it's always going to be a catch-22 when it comes to cameras. Personally, I don't think it's going to work out in the pedestrian or the citizen's favor. It's only for the court system. The cameras are for them. The cameras are not for our benefit. I was in a situation where the discovery report, which is actually the camera when you're in that type of situation, it suddenly just disappeared. We could not find now the camera is right there on the police officer's car every time, no matter what. And in my situation, they ran out of tape, or the DVD was scratched, or somebody lost it. The discovery report was just not found. And so that taught me with a personal lesson that even with these cameras, man, that if they don't, it's not for our benefit, it's for them. It's if something happens to that officer, at least we can see what happened. He had a little black box on him. They had a camera on it now. And that's what it's for. So, don't get it twisted and think that they're putting cameras on them to benefit us.
No, I mean, it's like arming a police officer. They're not armed for our protection.
At all. None at all. It's for that police officer. And that's what, and with the cameras, they'll probably put it where they can see exactly where the police officer is at that time. You never know, but we'll try to find some kind of positive as a citizen and be like, well, it's for us. No. Nothing they have is. You think that billy club for us? Yeah. You think that taser for us? Yeah. You think that gun is for us? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
You think that mace is for us? Yes. You think that camera on their body for us though? No. What else? They ain't never needed it before. What they need it for us now? Not at all. The cameras on the road, as Brother Shaw said, you think that camera for us? No, that camera's for them. No camera, unless the camera on your phone, which is used by them also, is for us. That's the only camera that's technically for us. But
that's deep, bro.
I'm just telling you, man, no cameras are for us. Anytime they put a camera on the scene, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
It's like you said, the tickets, they have gotten worse because they put cameras on the scene. You think they're going to put a camera on the police officer and it's going to get better? Nah, well, we saw him hit the police officer, so that's what gave the police officer probable cause to shoot him. We got it on camera. It's a little blurry in the beginning, but don't worry about that part. Worry about when he ran and the police officer shot him, you see? And that's what's going to happen, man. We know how it goes. The camera is there to show without a benefit of the doubt, you see, that's why I killed the man. The camera shows it.
We have hundreds of years of evidence to prove that what he's saying is absolutely correct.
And that's what's going to happen. Let's take Trayvon. No, not Trayvon. Let's take Mike Brown's situation. If the cop would have had a camera on him, which it was, but did we see that? No. But anyway, if he would have had a camera on his body, it would have showed Mike supposedly hanging out the door and fighting him, and that would have gave the cop probable cause to shoot that man. And that's what the camera would have been used for. The camera that it was on his car, did we see that footage? Not at all. So you got to understand what the camera is going to be for. Let's put it in perspective and let's tell the truth. Because we don't like to tell the truth when it comes to certain things of society.
All right, Mr. King. That the conspiracy brother.
That's not a conspiracy.
I'm not saying that's a conspiracy.
You just said the conspiracy brother.
And you are the conspiracy brother.
You are my favorite uncle.
But no, you do have some valid points there. The security camera would certainly be used to validate the actions of the officers as much as possible. I would have to agree with you, sir. I would have to agree with you. But hopefully there will be some times where the camera will prove also that the officer was not quite telling the truth. Hopefully.
I ain't heard a time. Have you?
Hopefully.
Brother Henry, have you heard of a time where the camera showed the officer was wrong?
I haven't, but
Oh,
I'm
okay.
hoping
And y'all over
because they're all wearing cameras.
I
I have not, but I
see
will
some
say
change.
that there was a cop that was indicted in Mobile for not necessarily the same actions that led to the death of Michael Brown and Eric Gardner, but just for being a bad police officer. A jury actually returned an indictment, or grand jury returned an indictment. So it had once in a blue moon.
Oh, it happened
It'll
once.
happen, but I'm not saying that this will come out of police officers wearing body cameras. Even with that being said, I still think it's something that they should have.
Yeah, definitely. What else you got interesting for us, Jason?
I think, two more interesting bills have emerged. One actually was presented last year but didn't make it out of committee. It was where if the governor declares a state of emergency, then this bill would allow you to carry your weapon on you and to actually, I think it's either cross county or state lines, with your weapon as long as you have a permit for it. And the second one is allowing guns on school campuses.
High school campuses?
College
campuses. And the way that one is written is a little bit interesting. And the reason why I say that is because we just saw that there was a shooting at Bethune-Cookman, a few days ago, where they weren't the individuals who were injured weren't seriously injured. The bullets just grazed them. But we saw what happened at FSU. We saw what happened at Sandy Hook, which, of course, isn't a college. And we saw what happened at Virginia Tech. That's where this bill is born out of. Now, when I was researching some of the statistics surrounding mass shootings on college campuses, it's technically not a problem. They still do not happen that often I shouldn't say for the legislature or for someone who was elected to serve to present a bill to state that we should allow students to carry these guns into class, into their dorm rooms, or wherever, where it would make them more safe. But the statistics do show that alcohol is a larger issue on college campuses than guns. And what's been found through some of these studies is that if you're drunk and you have a gun, you're likely to commit a crime.
True.
So if we allow 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds or young people who still have some brain development to do, to allow them to have guns and access to alcohol and potentially weed in the near future, well, actually weed may actually help them out a little bit, but if we allow them access to these two things, we actually may see a spike. This is based off studies and research, not based off of something that I'm just making up. And I'm not saying it will happen, but based off of the study and research, this is a potentially making the situation potentially worse.
So it sounds like that's what's going to happen then, because the way the world is going, they took the prayer out to schools. Let's put the guns in them. I think that's how it went down.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Republican who presented the bill. There are a lot of Republicans who are behind it, who are thinking that this is something that should happen. I will say that our former Senator Thrasher, who's now the president of FSU, who came out against it a few years ago, and now that he's president of FSU, even in light of the tragedy that happened there, has still said that he does not think that this is a good idea. So I'm sure that he's lobbying some of his ex-colleagues to state that this is not something in the best interest of Florida's, college students. But there are still a lot of the NRA is behind it. There are some student groups at FSU who have come out strongly behind it. There are even some law enforcement agencies or some agencies who support law enforcement who have come out and said that this is a good idea to ensure the safety of college campuses. Also, college campuses are some of the safest places in America. College campuses are traditionally safe, so if we add a dangerous aspect to them to so-called insulate them from danger, then we're actually making the situation worse because we're trying to find a solution to a problem that doesn't necessarily exist.
And I agree. College campuses are probably the safest places across this nation. It's just like you said, alcohol always play a factor in most situations, and if it's not alcohol, it's a form of depression that has occurred and that's been there that nobody never caught or saw attention to for when those children or young folk go off and go away to school or go to college. But putting a gun on college campuses, I just don't do guns, period. I've always had 2 guns they call Grace and Mercy, and I keep them every day with me.
It's all right now.
So just having a gun, I've never been a big fan of guns, and I don't think we should allow guns on anybody's campus.
And you know what? And I don't mean to cut you off, but you made a really good point about depression. Suicide is actually on the rise at college campuses nationwide. Right. And the number one, I guess, what students are using to kill themselves is guns. So if we're having a problem with alcohol, with depression, with suicide, and with guns, and we're putting all that together, and we're saying that it's okay for you to bring a gun on the college campuses, we could see an increase in suicide. So again, this seems like this doesn't seem to be in the best interest of Florida, but Florida's Florida, and we've seen how that kind of goes based off the past events.
Yeah. Well, past events just tell us that in Florida, we're going to find ways to make it easier for you to have a gun and carry it, concealed weapon permit, and this bill will probably pass, I would imagine. I think that hopefully what happens, because I don't think you're going to see a spike per se in people carrying or people going out to get a concealed weapons permit because it is now illegal to have a gun. I don't think that spike is going to exist per se, but and like you say, since the likelihood of actually needing to use it, quote unquote, to defend yourself, is already small. Hopefully we won't see the other effects. We won't see the rise in suicides. We won't see the rise in accidental shootings as a result of alcohol as well. But we'll see what happens, man, because this probably will pass in Florida. So,
but I'm hoping not. I'm so hoping not.
But you know how you can change that. Contact your representatives in the state and let them express how much you don't like this bill and how much you want them to vote against it. And hopefully, if enough of the constituents call and protest against it, hopefully they'll make a decision that is along the lines of what the constituents want as opposed to what they're thinking. So,
and another thing that you could do, you absolutely should contact your representative or your senator. Of course, you have a few of them there. You have Randolph Bracey, you have Senator Thompson, and you have...
no, you got to contact the Republican ones because we can pretty much...
Absolutely. You absolutely should. But the second thing that you should do is you should figure out who their largest donors are and figure out which organizations are supporting them. Get your coalition together and lobby those organizations, because I can guarantee you they're lobbying those representatives on their behalf, not on yours, on their behalf to ensure that whatever their interests are going to be passed along. Lobby those organizations. I'm not saying that it will work, but in addition to you doing that, put some public pressure on the organizations that support them to let them know that if you continue to pass laws that are not in the best interest of Floridians, we are going to use our economic power to disenfranchise you, so to speak. So if you donate money to Senator X, who's a Republican who wrote this bill and who's supporting this bill, then we're going to ensure that at the cash register or whatever, that you're going to fill it, and also figure out who helped them write the bill. Because listen, again, whenever the NRA is behind something, that legislator who has his or her name on the bill didn't write it. The lawyers and the attorneys for those organizations write those bills, and they present it to the legislature, who then puts his or her name on it. So it's not necessarily the politician who's doing the work. They're just a figurehead. But organizations like the NRA and ALEC and all these Republican and some left-leaning organizations are the ones who are presenting these bills to the representatives. The politician is just a figurehead.
There you go.
Very well said.
There you go. So definitely pay attention to that, especially if you don't like the idea. Studies are studies. Like I said, hopefully when and if it passes, hopefully we don't see, like you said, an increase in the accidental deaths due to alcohol and also suicides. Hopefully we don't see that. And hopefully for those that, assuming it passed, that take advantage of it, hopefully they have no reason to ever use it. Hopefully. So we'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. Any real quick statements you want to make before you get out of here, Jason?
Session starts again in Florida on March 3rd. Pay attention to some of the bills that are being presented. Again, a lot of these bills are written and presented in committee week before session even begins. Probably at the end of this week or the top of next week, I'm going to have a full list of at least 5 to 10 bills that you should pay attention to and I'll link you out to every single bill that's been written and presented before committee in Florida. And we're talking about something like, sometimes it's 1,500 to 2,000 bills that are presented, just never make it out of committee. So a lot of the things that I'll write about, you'll say, well, what happened with that bill? Well, it died in committee. Like Senator, I think it's Baldwin, I can't remember his last name, out of South Florida. He has a bill that he wants to present to legalize recreational pot in the state of Florida. I'll probably write about it, but there is no chance in HE double hockey sticks that is going to pass if we could not get medicinal marijuana passed in Florida. So I'll just say keep your eye on the state legislature. March 3rd is when it begins. Shameless plug, pay attention to my blog. There are plenty of other resources that you can keep your eye on to figure out what bills are being presented before the Senate and the House.
All right, man. We appreciate it, man.
Anytime, man. Always love coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, we thank you, man. Now stay warm in Alabama, man. Stay warm.
Yeah, man. I'm about to go out here and play in the snow before it melts.
We on our way.
Hey, Jason, I'm going to let you know. If they didn't tell you this, don't eat the yellow snow. Just in case you didn't know
I'll
that.
be sure to pass it along to my son, man.
Yeah, let them know. Don't eat the yellow snow.
Yeah, I won't eat the yellow or the brown snow.
Yeah, don't eat the brown snow.
Definitely don't eat the brown snow.
All right, y'all take it easy, man.
All right, you too,
All right,
man.
Jay.
You too, man. All right, before we only got a few minutes left here. I've been shouting out some different facts about Black history throughout the month here. So a couple that happened on February 25th. So the first one here is Hiram Rhodes Revels of Mississippi was sworn in as the first black U.S. senator in 1870 on February 25th. So
wow.
Black U.S. senator in 1870 of Mississippi, Hiram Rhodes Revels. Another here, this one, obviously we know a lot about this man, Dr. Martin Luther King, but he was sworn in as an ordained minister on this date in 1948. So 1948 is when Dr. Martin Luther King became Reverend. Another one here, we know a lot about this brother as well, Cassius Clay. I believe you know who Cassius Clay is, Mr. King. Cassius Clay, you know that.
Oh, his mama called him Clay, so I'm going to call him Clay?
Yeah, there you go. He actually changed his name to Muhammad Ali on this date in 1964. He actually converted to Islam and became Muhammad Ali. This was after winning his first heavyweight title against Sonny Liston. Another Nation of Islam, speaking of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad died on this day in Chicago, Illinois in 1975. And one last fact here, Edgar Daniel E.D. Nixon, he was a civil rights leader and primary figure in the Montgomery bus boycott. He also died on this date in 1987. So just a few facts as we we're celebrating Black History Month in the month of February. One last question for you guys before we get out of here. I'm sure you noticed they decided not to indict George Zimmerman on federal charges.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, fellas? First, I ask, are you even surprised?
No.
Not.
Okay.
No.
I think I don't think anybody is surprised. I don't think we ever really expected them to bring federal charges against this man. There's no evidence to prove that the federal charges are warranted.
You know what? I think if he had a body cam, it would have been different.
No.
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 The body cam wouldn't have changed that.
The body cam wouldn't have changed.
No.
The body cam does not change.
Because they'd have been like, well, it's kind of hard to tell to see between the altercation
it
and
was
what
raining.
really happened.
It was raining, and
The feed
it was
was just-
dark out.
his back was on the ground, and
Right. All we just heard was the gunshot go off, but we don't know what actually happened.
exactly.
We don't see where the bullet entered. So I understand. But it's kind of what we all expected. The man has been in and out of the news ever since that has happened.
I'm hoping he gets out of the news now.
I doubt that. He's infamous. He's like Hitler. He's infamous.
I ain't gonna say like Hitler.
I'm
but
not saying he's on the level
He's close
of Hitler.
enough.
I'm not saying he's on the level of Hitler. I'm saying
He's
how
constantly he's reoccurring
right,
all the time.
Right. Like you hear about Hitler and the negative things that he did all the time. And that's how you'll hear about Zimmerman for the rest of his life.
what George Zimmerman did. He did this. He'll be known for this at all times, but how he always got off.
Yeah, he does always get off. He's Teflon.
I don't know.
That's what happens when your father's a judge and lawyer.
Yeah, he's Teflon. But we'll see what happens, man. Yeah, okay. So we want to go ahead and thank Jason for coming on. Make sure you check out Jason Henry on Facebook. You can also check his Twitter at the Jason Henry Project. And the brother writes all the time, as he says, about what's going on in Florida. He's going to start writing about what goes on in Alabama as well. He will definitely keep you informed. We want to thank you for listening to us. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Real Family Talk. Check out the website, realfamilytalk.com. This is WOKB 1680 AM, your urban empowerment and inspiration station. Don't forget, they do have an app now. So make sure you go and download the app.
Yeah, the iTunes app, TuneIn app on your cell phone or your smart device. You can also catch us streaming via the Ustream at WOKB 1680. And always check us out on the website, WOKBradio.com. Anything else?
Nah, I don't have enough.
How can you top that? Glory.
Hey.
All right. Anything else we need to be aware of that's going
on? That's about it, far as I know. I'm trying to read the story about former coach of Bethune-Cookman University, Brian Jenkins, as to what really went down and what's going on. So
he's not in trouble, is
he? Yeah. Alabama State has just released him.
Wow. Okay.
He just went over there this year. So
and now he's already gone.
Yeah.
As long as it's not student related. It's not student related, is it?
We'll talk about that later.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. That's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother topic?
That's a whole nother topic. What it all boiled down from was that he was a little bit harsh on the student body, on the athletes, the student athletes.
Okay.
So we'll let me finish reading, and I give you the 411 for show.
Okay, he's old school, basically.
Basically.
Gotcha.
Basically. And, these young whippersnappers just too soft. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. You don't want me to go in there?
No, I don't want you to go there. Not tonight.
Well, I get tired of these babies want to be grown but don't want to take the grown responsibility. That's a whole nother story.
All right, brother. Mr. King, you got anything else, Mr. King?
My brother. I can rant for days. I want to get Jason's opinion about the tolls. If anybody's out there listening, please just really, really get some information about that. I'm actually upset about that. I'm with Brother Shaw. I try to avoid the tolls because my scooter isn't allowed on the tolls. So if my scooter can't get on the tolls, close the tolls down. I'm off the radio.
They don't allow scooters on the tolls.
I mean, we can't get a scooter lane.
I did not know that, Chris Shaw. I did not know.
Yep, I just learned something new tonight.
Scooters could not be on the toll. But it does make you realize you don't see any scooters.
You really don't.
On the toll. You
really
see motorcycles, but no scooters are on the tolls. I did not know that they were not allowed. You always learn something new with Mr. King.
I feel your pain, Mr. King.
You always learn something new with Mr. King, man.
A scooter lane.
I'm just saying.
We should make that a clause.
Think about it, man. In Atlanta, they have a HOV lane where if you have two people in your car, only you can ride in that lane. We can have a scooter lane. It'll be the fast lane, the middle lane, the slow lane,
and the scooter lane.
And then the scooter lane. My brother.
Oh, boy. Mr. King, man. What you going to do with that, brother? All right, man. We out here, man. We'll see y'all next week. Real Family Talk.
Thank you for listening to Real Family Talk. This is one of your co-hosts, Jeremy, a.k.a. Younger Brother. Tune in next week from 9 to 10 p.m. and every Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOKB 1680, your urban empowerment and inspiration station. See ya.
My brother,